But this, I think, points to just his sense of entitlement, the sort of element of droit de seigneur that he has. He doesn't sort of think of anyone except his own personal interests. And this is why I think he's found it so hard to make any sort of apology or to show any sort of contrition.
Tonight, we're diving into a blunt and very public character review of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor that has royal circles buzzing. A former royal girlfriend has spoken with surprising honesty, describing him as ignorant, entitled, and convinced the world owes him something. These remarks come from Susanna Constantine, a well-known TV personality who once dated Princess Margaret's son, David Armstrong Jones. She says she spent time around Andrew, and what she observed left a long-lasting impact. Her words are sharp, uncensored, and they fit a pattern seen throughout decades of his behavior. We'll break down what she said, why she said it, and how these new comments add to the growing picture of a man whose downfall has been both public and dramatic. We'll also look at another woman from Andrew's past who predicted his collapse more than 40 years ago with unsettling accuracy. If you follow this channel often, you know that new insights about Andrew's character keep emerging, and none of them are flattering. This story adds yet another significant piece to that puzzle.
In my time now, Prince Philip could be a bit tetchy sometimes and, throw a few expletives at you. The Queen was wonderful, very polite, respectful. Unfortunately, Prince Andrew was totally different. He could fly off the handle at the smallest thing. He would be abusive. He would shout, he would swear.
Susanna Constantine appeared on the podcast Spooning with Mark Wogan, and the conversation shifted to her experiences around the royal family. Wogan asked a straightforward question: is the former Duke of York misunderstood? Her reply was immediate and harsh. She said Andrew is ignorant and entitled. She went even further, saying he acts as though the world owes him something and that he believes he stands above the law. She called that level of entitlement the worst quality a person can have, and she made it clear she is absolutely not a supporter. These aren't remarks coming from someone with a personal grudge or a desire for attention.
If he has to slow down for a small minute, he would shout out the window, "You effing buffoons," and stuff like that. So there was no leeway. If it wasn't done right for him, then he would fly off the handle.
Constantine spent 6 years dating within the royal circle, carrying herself with caution throughout that period, and she still maintains a cordial relationship with her former partner, the second Earl of Snowdon, which is why her willingness to speak so bluntly immediately grabs attention. She also questioned how Andrew ever secured a helicopter license, stressing how incredibly challenging the process is and explaining that her own son serves in the Royal Navy, giving her first-hand insight into how strict and demanding the requirements truly are. Her remarks imply that Andrew was pushed through opportunities that would have remained firmly shut for anyone else, and that observation connects to a much larger issue that has followed him for decades. The notion that rules didn't apply to him, that he expected privilege without accountability, and that he believed access, opportunity, and respect were guaranteed simply because of his status rather than any real effort or achievement. She did offer a small moment of sympathy, noting that growing up as the spare in the royal family must be challenging, because you're born into enormous privilege but without a clear role, with your path predetermined and little room to develop your own identity, a point many royal analysts have made before. But what truly stands out is how swiftly she returned to her main message. No excuse or circumstance justifies the level of entitlement she witnessed, and even those once close to the family view Andrew's behavior as something deeper than his upbringing, a pattern that repeated itself over years and across relationships. In contrast, both she and Wogan praised Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, describing them as grounded, gracious, and genuinely kind, and Constantine added that raising daughters with such steady personalities suggests their parents must possess some positive qualities despite everything. That observation highlights the core contradiction in Andrew's public reputation. Two daughters admired for their decency, contrasted with parents known for arrogance, denial, poor judgment, and decades of damaging scandals.
I don't think Andrew has many people on his side. I think Charles gave an undertaking to their mother that he would take care of Andrew, but no one in the royal family likes him. He's made a lot of enemies on the way up. I don't think anyone in the palace likes him.
Now we shift to another voice from Andrew's past. one that reveals just how deeply ingrained his behavior really was. Long before any scandals surfaced, a woman who knew him in the early 1980s warned that his attitude would eventually backfire. Her name was Vicky Hodge, a glamorous actress and model who met Andrew in Barbados in 1983. Older, wiser, and far more seasoned, she spotted warning signs almost immediately. According to biographer Andrew Loney, her early impressions were anything but flattering. She remembered Andrew firing off endless jokes that weren't amusing, jokes he assumed were clever simply because he liked hearing himself talk. When they crossed paths again the next day, he was swimming in the ocean completely naked, everything on display, showing a young man desperate for attention and lacking any boundaries. They ended up in a brief 10-day fling, during which she described him as childish, self-absorbed, overly flirtatious, and overly confident in his own charm. He even told her he loved her, then disappeared the moment he sailed away. No call, no note, nothing. Just weeks later, she spoke to the Mirror and gave a quote that now feels eerily accurate. She said Andrew was stubborn and ignored advice unless it served him, and that he needed someone strong enough to stop him from getting into situations that would embarrass both himself and the royal family. Her comments sound almost prophetic today, because no one back then imagined that decades later he would become entangled in the Epstein scandal, stripped of his titles, forced out of public life, and seen internationally as a liability to the monarchy.
He is regular old Andrew, Pete, and we're going to have to get pretty used to calling him Andrew from now on very quickly, because this stripping of his prince title is effective immediately.
Yet her description matches the pattern exactly. A man unwilling to grow, unwilling to take advice, and unwilling to acknowledge consequences until the damage was already done. These two women, from completely different periods of Andrew's life, pointed to the same qualities: entitlement, ignorance, arrogance, immaturity, a refusal to heed guidance, and a belief that rules simply didn't apply to him. Their accounts line up effortlessly with what former staffers, writers, and insiders have repeated for years. Tales of outbursts, disrespect, crude jokes, pranks meant to embarrass women, excessive spending, and questionable trips. A long history of conduct that consistently pushed limits because he assumed he could get away with it. And that is what makes these new remarks from Susanna Constantine so noteworthy.
And I mean, I've got countless stories of Andrew requesting girls when he went on taxpayer-funded trips.
Do you mean women? Sorry, just to be clear on the ages that you're talking about.
Well, should we say young women?
Andrew's conduct at private gatherings has been described by numerous witnesses as crude, childish, and almost always directed at women. Former attendees remember him using humiliation as a form of entertainment, turning social events into opportunities for pranks that left people startled rather than amused. In one instance, Andrew reportedly snuck up behind a well-known woman and unzipped her dress in front of everyone, treating it as if it was some kind of party joke. Other accounts recall him shoving a young guest's face into a plate of food while laughing, as though the embarrassment was the entire goal. This pattern stretched from his late teens well into adulthood. Staff members and guests say Andrew thrived on testing limits and seeing just how far he could go, especially when surrounded by younger women who were unlikely to confront him. Witnesses have spoken about vulgar jokes, physical pranks, and behavior that would be unacceptable from any ordinary person, let alone someone belonging to the royal family. The most revealing detail repeated across testimonies is that he never appeared ashamed or apologetic. He relished being the center of attention, even when it came at someone else's expense. These stories reinforce the larger portrait of a man whose immaturity and disregard for others were obvious long before his later scandals became public. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor once lived a life fueled by privilege, access, and undeserved advantages. Now, he is dealing with the consequences of that past. He has no public duties, no honors, and continues to face pressure to leave Royal Lodge. More accounts keep emerging from people who knew him, and each one paints the same consistent picture. Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every one. And if you want ongoing updates about the royal controversies unfolding behind the scenes, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. More chapters are on the way, and I will cover all of them.